All right, welcome. So we're going to be talking about what love is and what cheating might be all about. And God knows what else we're going to do. But I think it's exciting. So we had such a great time yesterday with the decks, the oracle decks. I'm trying to find my bloody. This is bizarre. I'm trying to find my. Oh, there they are. All right, welcome. Hey, Jennifer, are you a moderator? I'm sure I did this. Yeah, you're a moderator. Okay. I've been having some weirdos coming in, so block them away, please. I don't have any patience. I had a live earlier today, and it was really ridiculous. Okay, so we're gonna do some fun things. I thought we'd talk about love, and I did a live about a month ago, I think, on how men love, and I kind of want to explore the concept of cheating because cheating is so weird to people, and I think to all of us. I think there's so many nuances of cheating, and from the actual physical act to the emotional connection with somebody, flirting, letting the imagination run in an office space, in a workplace. I heard that even family members, even like brothers-in-laws and sisters-in-laws kind of flirt. There's like this desire. People hook up, they get together. Brothers and sisters with their sibling spouse. It's kind of weird, because one of the talks that I saw on TED Talk, this was when TED Talk really had some balls. And this is when they were real. One of the TED Talks, and this would have been probably in the early 2000s. And I bring her up a lot. You've noticed Esther Perel. She did her TED Talk, "Mating in Captivity," which I thought, what a fucking title. She's Belgium, and she talked about cheating and what cheating means. Sometimes it is that there's a spouse that doesn't want to have sex. The libido has gone. Has stopped pumping the juice of the desires. And sometimes it's boredom. It's just plain ass boredom. It's I know what you're going to do next. If I do this move in bed, you're going to do that. And to be honest, people aren't very creative. And I don't know how wild you were in your late 19, 20. I'm going to keep it like... I'm going to keep it safe in this conversation on TikTok. But let's say when you began to be sexually active, we're going to use the age of 19. Until you settle down with someone, you might have been wild, right? And you might have not even enjoyed the sex, but you were like, oh, what the hell? Since I'm here, I might as well practice some moves. And you might have been wilder than you ever were with your spouse, right? And now, if that's not your story, I invite you to probably read some erotica, like Olympia Reader's a good book by Maurice Girardot. I believe his name is Girardot. The Olympia Reader has tons of great erotic stories that are like all, even Henry Miller's in there. And Anais Nin, Delta of Venus is a good one. It's very interesting, actually. It's more like psychological erotica. Watch the movie Henry and June, because it's about cheating. Henry and June is about Anais Nin having an affair with Henry Miller, and he's kind of plugging away at his famous novel, The Tropic of Cancer. Uma Thurman's in that movie. They chose the perfect woman for Anais Nin, perfect woman. And I forgot the actor's name who plays her husband, but they have a very interesting relationship. And there's a scene, and now take note, I think it's happening in the late 20s, early 30s in Paris. It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful movie, actually. And so she's having an affair with Henry Miller, and she's just left his side. It's Mardi Gras, and she gets grabbed by a masked man who turns out to be her husband, who actually ravages her. That's the word to say it. Ravages her. And she actually, her body recognizes his body's rhythm, but she's not sure because the mask is on and she's not sure what the hell this is. And it turns out it's her husband. And so in that scene, you realize, in that very kind of intense and for a minute concerning scene, you realize that what's missing in our relationships with our spouses, and you know exactly what I'm going to say, it's excitement. People are bored. And so what happens in the infrastructure that we are trapped in, the machine that never stops cranking its needs for us to constantly produce work, whatever work, toil and sweat that we have to produce for the system to pay for our life. I mean, we literally have to pay to live, right? We fall into these weird situations with our spouses where, we don't have sex for like a week, a month, 2 weeks. Some people are very blessed and then they have sex every day, twice a day. And the reality is, at some point, what happens, especially for women and some beautifully sensitive men, is that if they don't feel safe, they can't be sexually active. It doesn't work for them at all because they don't feel safe. To be sexually active, they have to feel safe. Does that make sense? And so that is like a massive truth that most people don't want to really talk about. So when people fall out of what they call, I am no longer in love with my husband or wife, they realize they're not using the right term. You're no longer in lust with your spouse. That's what's happening. You're no longer in lust. You don't lust for your spouse's genitals. You don't think of them. You don't want to savor them in your mouth. You don't want to, you know what I'm saying? You're fucking bored, but you're not really bored. You're stressed. And so somebody comes along that flirts with you or whatever, and you feel like, a new person. You feel sexy. You start dressing up, whatever the hell you're doing. And it makes you feel alive. And it lures you into this false sense of connection, but really it's all fantasy. And I'm shocked at how people don't just, I'm not kidding, like if something happened, let's say somebody in your family had a heart attack, you would stop everything. You would have to call sick. You would say, I'm sorry, I can't come into work today. I have an emergency. I have somebody who's gone to ER and this, that, and the other happened. But I'm shocked at how people don't do it to save a marriage and literally call in sick, because it is an emergency intimacy, and meeting at a bar, a 5-star hotel, at a bar, in a beautiful hotel, and you act like you guys don't know each other. That's the oldest fucking fantasy you can co-create really fast. You dress hot. The guy comes up to you. It happens to be that you're married to that guy, but no one knows. And you kind of play this game of whatever you want to play. You're a courtesan. You're just a businesswoman on a 48-hour trip. Whatever the fuck you want to do. And you book the room on the spot as if it's impromptu. And you have a great time. And this is the problem with these, relationships. I remember I had a client when I was working at a psychic source. And this young man, for 10 years, his spouse kept asking him to spend more time with her. But he was a workaholic. He was a high achiever. He was putting in, he never cheated on her, ever. And I said, come on. And he was completely transparent that he had never cheated on her. And there was a woman in the office where she worked, where his wife worked, that was gay and that was going after her. She was like, but the thing is, what he didn't understand, it wasn't about the sex so much as it was about the attention. She was getting attention from another human being. She was getting complimented. They were going out for coffee. They started spending the weekend together, and eventually they became lovers, and eventually his wife left him for that woman. And I told him it wasn't really the sex that got her in the relationship. It was the attention. And that same story could be the opposite, where it's a man, she left him for another man. We know that story, right? and he wanted her back. But it was too late, and he was in so much pain. But it was like, it was way too late. It was past, like the relationship was dead. Like she was never going to come back. Never. Okay? She probably might have even realized one day, wow, I'm really, here's another man who's giving me everything I want. I'm going to leave this woman for another man. You never know. She probably found out that she was bisexual, clearly. And she definitely realized that there was other things that she wanted in her relationship. You know what I mean? She wanted attention. And did you notice? She wasn't into the extra money he was bringing in. Right? She wasn't the girl that wanted the bag. She didn't want the $1,500 Chanel bag or the Birkin bag for 10 grand. She wanted his attention. This is what you men don't get. And so, yeah, she cheated. And it started out as an emotional affair. It was a friendship. And then soon, before you know it, I'm going to make you, Veronica, I'm going to make you, I'm trying to get you as a moderator. Let me add you as a moderator just in case. Oh, you are a moderator. I don't know if you knew that. So this is kind of important to understand that what you guys need to do in your relationship is give each other's, stop the fucking world, man. Because if somebody was sick in your life, anybody, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your friend, you would stop the world. But you do not stop the world for the SOS of a marriage that's crashing and you're thinking about cheating because some hot guy walked into the whatever, maybe it's a UPS guy who delivers shit every day or whatever, right? You're a nurse and a hot doctor came in that's giving you all this attention. Meanwhile, your husband's like fucking MIA working like like a mofo. And you're like, proximity, pheromones, dying for attention, and there it comes. And jokes, laughing, oh my God, I feel so connected to you, let's have coffee. And before you know it, you're dropping your pants. So what I'm saying is when people say in a marriage, I'm no longer in love with her, I'm no longer in love with him, well, you've got to really take a sledgehammer to that marriage for someone to fall out of love. Typically, it's money, stress, it's infrastructure, it's duties, it's children, it's never turning to each other and going, we need to fuck. I don't care. Let's fucking go outside in the rain, lift my dress up, and just let's fuck against the tree. Whatever. Let's do it in a train. Let's do it in, whatever. You know what I mean? And people have lost this ability to have fun. Because, you're going to have, trust me, you're going to have fun. I remember when I was 19, I had a French lover. And they were, I'll tell you the story because it's funny as fuck. And he was, and we, so you're going from Paris to Switzerland. There's a point where you stop and the douanier the border check come in, right? And they were going from car to car and we were at it. And he was like, they're almost here. I go, yeah, you better get on with it, man. Let's finish. And we did. And I was literally buttoning up my 501 jeans when they were knocking on the door, coming in to punch our tickets to look at our passports. That kind of joy, excitement, fun. We were hysterically laughing when they left. We were in hysterics for 20 minutes. And of course, I'm sure, I don't know if they could figure it out, but the point is, why can't people do that in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 70s, and just have fun and just test things out. And I think some people have been raised to feel very strange about outdoor sex and intimacy outdoors and things of that nature. And I do know that is a problem for some of you, going to the beach and as the moon is high or during the day or whatever, and just bringing that beautiful passion and joie de vivre into your life. So yeah, doing it in bed every day or in the kitchen, or after a while, it's like, what the fuck? Just every move you make, man, I just know the next move and I know your sounds. I think it could flip it if you went and did other things in nature, I think, is a beautiful place to heal sexually, intimately, and so forth. If I were to say to you that even eye gazing, if you were to sit up and, face each other on the floor, cross-legged, whatever, however you sit, and literally almost not nose to nose, but damn near eye to eye, gazing. I've done that with people who didn't know each other. I've done that with lovers, best friends. And within about 8 minutes, you start sobbing. So cracking the iceberg in a marriage that happens over all the stresses I just talked about, cracking that iceberg sometimes would demand an eye-gazing session with your beloved. And that will bring the humanity back into the marriage if you really want to, bring light and life back to your marriage. If a marriage is broken, a lot of people say, I want to save this marriage. And I always counsel people to say, absolutely, you do not want to fucking save that marriage. That iceberg you're calling a marriage, that fucking albatross around your neck. No, you want to break that marriage up and build a new marriage with new rules of engagement. And again, I'll bring it up to you. I remember when I was at the breast cancer symposium back in, I think it was 2012. She was at the breast cancer symposium that was being hosted by the USC. And I was a guest artist, visual artist. And I'll tell you about how that happened in a minute, and remind me if I forget. But anyway, so Dr. Susan Love was an advocate for breast cancer survivors, and also, new therapies to prevent it, this and that and the other. She was an incredible woman, and she died of breast cancer. Leukemia. Sorry. Anyway, when I met her, people were standing in line, and I went up to her, finally my turn, and I said, what would you say to people who have a spouse that survived breast cancer? And she said, well, they need to know that the marriage is over. That the marriage before cancer is no longer there. So now the marriage has to be built on after cancer. And that marriage has to be built brand new with new rules of engagement. I never forgot that advice. I never forgot it. I thought it was like the best advice I'd ever heard, because I'd been raised to always hear, save your marriage. And here was a woman who was gay. She was married to her wife, who said, yeah, no, you don't do that. You don't save that. It can't be saved, because all of the things, all of the parts that made this marriage work are gone. And in some cases, like for example, I had an acquaintance. I was homeschooling my kid, and she was homeschooling her kid, and she had beautiful curly hair down to her ass. And I'd done a beautiful, I had done I don't know, you might want to look at it. It's in Art Majeur. It's one of my websites where I have my art, but it was called I Have the Power, and it's of a woman who's got her arms in an arch, if you will, overlooking the sun. The sun is rising. I am the power. And she's got one breast missing with a scar. So I gave that to her. But I didn't know she had breast cancer. She didn't opt for the chemotherapy, hence the long hair, hence why I didn't know she had suffered breast cancer. And I had given her the art piece, and she was very conservative, sexually conservative, and she was sad and ashamed of her scar. She had one breast missing with the scar. Never went for chemo, and somehow she was in remission. Doing all kinds of protocols, healing this, that, and the other. And she said, I used to take showers with my husband. I used to make love to him. I used to walk around nude, and now I'm always hiding, and I don't want to touch him. And I feel so disgusted by my body, And when I was calling some of the breast cancer support groups to talk about sex after cancer, breast cancer in particular, no one wanted to talk about it. They still don't want to talk about it. Susan J. Corman, the pink ribbons galore. Let me backtrack to Dr. Susan Love, who had said if they did not find a breast cancer cure by 2020, the gauntlets were off. She was going to just call them out bullshit. She was a badass shit. You can look her up. Dr. Susan Love, she wrote the very famous book, The Book of Breasts. The Book of Breast. And And we still don't want to talk about sexuality because women my age who are in the later years of their life say, well, I don't want to think about having sex with a man. I only want to survive. Fair enough. But we're not talking for you. We're talking about women who are fertile, who are dating to eventually marry and have babies. I've talked about this before. And we are talking about women who have had a double mastectomy at 27 and are currently married. How do you save that marriage? And is the man of such good character, of such integrity, that he realizes that her not having breasts anymore does not make her less of a woman, less sensual, less beautiful, less desirable? That was my whole collection that I did in lino cuts and line drawings. Because I wanted to show that though the body was transformed, it was still beautiful. And it was really based on the Amazons that I'd been raised on. I used to have an obsession with Amazons. And when I was 8, I was drawing them with one left breast cut off. I kid you not. So it must have been past life or a memory of that story, because they used to cut it off to make themselves better archers. So I remember connecting that with breast cancer in my 40s. And that's when I started the collection. And why am I saying that about marriage? Because marriages will go through multiple shifts and ebbs and flows. But the one that, if you have a man of integrity who loves you, somehow you have to heal from the disappointment of your body shifting and changing. And as women, we are the ones who need to push our culture to stop connecting beauty with breasts or asses or whatever the hell we're selling. And it's and between that, I mean, we've done a good job with body differences. Like now we see women who are voluptuous or larger, much larger than that, as beautiful in their own right and sexy and sensual. But we have to add, transformation of the body, both for men and women, but particularly for women, and particularly in breasts. Believe it or not, it's over-sexualized. And the question is, why is that? And in particular in America, and why is that? So one of the things that is heartbreaking to me, really heartbreaking, is that men cheat. If a woman's sick, if a woman's pregnant, and it's not unusual for a man to be in the room while she's pushing out her baby, right? What a beautiful gift to see your son or daughter emerge from between your woman's thighs. That should be like the biggest moment of your life. You should want to honor this woman, in my humble opinion, okay? But how many times have I heard men say that turned them off and they totally no longer wanted to have sex with their wives? But how are they being raised that they would think that? So cheating isn't just a simple office fling or a chick you buy for the night or the hour. It's something deeper. It's the way we sexualize the feminine body, and how if she's not somewhat perfect, and I remember that when I was 10 years old, I first heard my first mastectomy I ever heard. I was 10 years old. My mom was talking to a friend about a top model. She was a famous model in London in the 70s. She had a double mastectomy, and her boyfriend at the time said, I don't want a woman with no breast. And the message, overhearing that as a little 10-year-old girl, was, men don't love you if you're not perfect. Men will leave you if you're not perfect. Which began a journey of absolute raw rebellion in me. I can actually literally see it from that point, that vantage point, the launch of it. And so what men need to raise, men need to understand, men need to demand from themselves, the sons that they help raise, is to really deep dive into what is beautiful and what is desirable. I'm going to bring up Bridgerton. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Bridgerton. Let me see if I can find it. But in Bridgerton, the show, it's all about this family that marries various types of people. And, like one is a Hindustani woman. It starts out with a black man who is a lord, which is not outside the scope. There were a lot of sugar plantation heirs that were black or biracial, whatever. So it's not that. But anyway, the last one, what is something that is very noticeable about her? Well, I mean, let's face it, she is overweight. Is she not? She's overweight. She's not what you think your hero should be with, but somehow he's able to overcome it. Her name was Penelope. Remember Penelope and Lord Anthony Bridgerton? Okay, so they're friends. Peer pressure stops him from really claiming her. And and you see the evolution as episode by episode of how he starts realizing that he loves her and he doesn't need to explain his love choice to anyone. Yes, she's overweight. She probably has 60 pounds to lose, but that does not make her less beautiful or less desirable. And let me remind you that when you have a soul connection, right, that's what's really tripping twins out. Some twins will actually fall in love with the complete opposite of their quote-unquote type. Maybe they're into long legs and suddenly the love of their life has muscular legs. You're like, what the fuck? I like long-legged girls. I don't like that. Or women will go, God, I love long hair on a man. He's fucking bald. But I'm crazy about him, right? Okay. So this is what we have to understand, is that the connection that really feeds you isn't a set of tits. It's not a type. It's the soul that inhabits this body. And so when people cheat, right? Let's say that when people cheat, and I've said this before about twins, typically they are absolutely, no doubt, especially if they cheat a lot, they're usually addicted. Because the soul connection with a high-level soulmate or a twin, you can't just replace. Unless you're taking a lot of weird shit that makes you so lustful, so hot, that you would do anything with anyone, basically. You're kind of blinded. And so addiction is a problem. Alcohol, whatever, pills, is a problematic thing. And the fucked up thing is how it's also how you can catch STD and not know it until it's too late. That's the other thing. Addiction is really, really dangerous for people in multiple reasons and multiple ways. But most importantly, if you are going to be sexually dangerous to yourself, you could actually make yourself sick and your partner unknowingly. And people black out when they get high or drunk. They do black out. They forget. They forgot they had sex. Okay? So there are multiple levels to cheating. So I've covered, pregnancy. Let's cover that. I can't tell you how many clients I used to have who used to catch their husbands cheating on them on the day they were giving birth or the day after, whatever. And again, I can't explain to you why a man would do. I really don't. But we all know that a woman needs at least 6 weeks to 7 weeks after giving birth before she can ever have sex. And why, and this is a question I'm asking, why are men so hell-bent on not giving a woman the ability to heal herself? And I think it's because we really don't teach our young boys the level of magic and stress holding a life for 8 to 9 months and what it does to pull a human being, a whole fucking human being out of between your legs or through a C-section, but in particular through your legs. I mean, let's be honest, okay? And we're not teaching that to our boys. They're not seeing the magic of giving birth. They really don't understand what it is to do this act. And between that and women going through their menses, their moon, their blood moon, They don't. We're not teaching our boys to look at this with magical awe that a woman bleeds every month. It's been demonized. Oh, you're hormonal. That's why you're crying. Instead of realizing that this is an incredible, I mean, think about it. She's releasing blood every month to clean herself, to reset herself. And yeah, she's clearing everything, her emotional compass. She's bleeding, she's crying, and really what's not really normal is the pain. And I will say to men, the reason why she's in pain is because she's holding a lot of some scars in her womb chakra, in her root, sacral, and hara, at the belly button, the womb chakra. She's holding pain, her mother's pain, her grandmother's pain, her father's pain, her own pain, your pain. She holds it in that area. She sponges it up. And the only way she can release it is that. And that needs to be honored, not put down. Women are put down on that all the time. They're not allowed. And when women go through menopause, they're put down even further. Because now she can't win for losing, because now she's no longer bleeding. And she's still put down for that. Oh, yeah, you're hormonal, you're menopausal, you're blah. It's always you're hormonal. Well, let me say something. Men are hormonal too. You go through your own period, but it's different. You might have moments where you want to explode in rage, where you're highly lustful. You want to just, and that is a sense of purging. But it's not as obvious as you would see it through a woman. So cheating during pregnancy, cheating because a woman's sick, I hear that a lot, where men will leave, and this is actually studied to the point where they're teaching nurses, when a woman is diagnosed with something serious, get prepared, your husband's probably going to leave you, or your boyfriend. And that's tragic. And I've heard that story, especially when I was at the breast cancer symposium. I heard that story again and again and again. He will leave you is the message. But the thing about it is that a lot of men stay. As a matter of fact, a lot of men will meet the love of their life with a double mastectomy, no rebuilds, marry her, have babies with her, perfectly happy, healthy, connected. And it was never her breast or lack thereof that made him fall in love with her. But I remember an article, and this is why I'm kind of irritated with women who are older, who are past the point of wanting children, needing even a partner. I remember a woman writing an article where she's in an elevator with her date. And she kept in her mind saying, when do I tell him I have no nipples? When do I tell him when I have no nipple? Do you understand? We're trying to figure out on a date, right? All of you. Okay, well, how is it going to go? What are we going to talk about? You're relaxed, right? You're not concerned with your body not having this or that. But this 27-year-old girl was thinking to herself, how do I tell him? When do I tell him? At what point? Going up the elevator with him on their date. So that's when I realized, the reason why men cheat and the reason why people cheat, they'll come up with any excuses that you can imagine. But then, not all men, and I know people hate saying that, but that's true. Not all men. I just said that there are men that will actually never cheat. There's a line. Some will cheat no matter how good the marriage is, and some will never cheat no matter how bad the marriage is. I thought that was a very good line. Because some people will cheat no matter what. Any excuse. They'll blame it on you, of course. They'll start a fight so they can leave the house. My son's father had to grow up. So let me tell you that story. So my husband's father was a massive cheater. Massive. Left the family of 3, for another woman. And he was 10 years old when that happened. And he said he never slept again. Always had one eye open because he was now the man of the house in his mind. A little boy, 10-year-old boy, the youngest. And he grew up being a serial monogamist. What does that mean? He never cheated. If he had one girlfriend, he had one girlfriend. But he never cheated on me. And I know that sounds crazy, but he never cheated. That was not what broke our marriage up. And it took decades before it did fall apart. Decades. And it was the infrastructure. That's why I know how it's impacting marriages all across the world. It's the way the system makes people sick, where they need a drink just to soften the edges, or a joint, or whatever the hell else they're taking to not feel the brutality of living day by day. Now, Esther Perel talks about it in a very diplomatic way. You understand? But to be fair, it feels to me that people who could afford to go, like her clients, when she talks about her clients, they're not broke. They can afford the $250 or whatever the hell she's charging per hour. The average person can't. The average couple can't. And so she probably hasn't had the full gamut of what makes people cheat, especially in middle-class families where two people are working to make $60,000 a year. Two. Or two people are making $100,000 a year. And if one falls sick, they're kind of fucked because now the mortgage was based on two incomes, not one. You see the stress? The stress is a sword that is over these people's heads, even if they're not aware of it, but the stress is there. And if you watch the movie Revolutionary Road, great movie. I hate DiCaprio, but I love Kate Winslet, but I don't know, who knows. But it's a great movie or a great book. Read the book, watch the movie, whatever. But he cheats. And why does he cheat? Well, because he is being worshipped by the secretary. Worshipped. And this is something, and this is why I'm always talking to, when we talk, all of us together, I'm always telling you that the worst thing we can do is feed the ego, because the ego is a big black void. It's an abyss. You can never, ever feed it. It will never be happily fed and satiated. It needs more and more and more compliments, attention. You know what I'm saying? It needs devotion. And, you know what I'm saying? It needs devotion. And that. And I told a client, I remember telling the client, I think about a month ago, saying, the way this needs to work, and we need to normalize, don't get me wrong, it would be very triggering, but let me just bear with me. Where one of the partners feels safe enough in the marriage or relationship to say, I'm starting to have fantasies about someone at work. It's bothering me because I don't want us to lose this relationship. And I'm telling you, because especially if you're having sex once a week or once a month or whatever the hell's happening, but we should have these types of relationships where we can go to our partner, even though they're probably going to scream and yell, going, who the fuck is this? And what the fuck is that? Like being willing to take a deep breath in and fucking barrel in and going, look, I know you're going to fucking lose your mind, but here's the deal. I don't like what I'm feeling. I don't want to feel that for someone else. I want to feel it for you. I want it to be for you because I love you. I don't want some bimbo, male or female, to take attention from us. You see? So what should we do? And my advice would be to take a 2-day vacation, 2 or 3 days, in a cabin in the woods. I'm not joking, or on the beach, but definitely don't fucking, I had one client go to Las Vegas. I'm like, Las Vegas, that's not a vacation. You're hit by, no, you need silence. You need birds, you need woods, you need trees or the ocean, whatever. But for 2 to 3 days, you go on a getaway to fucking reconnect, to find out what did we lose along this 10-year cycle of our marriage, or the first 7 years, the first 2 years. What are we doing? Where are we going? We're going on the wrong fucking street here. It's a dead-end street. We're going to lose. We're going to lose each other if we keep going this road. And it's pulling the plug. It's dropping off the kids with grandma. Hopefully you have support in that way. And then leaving in a completely, no, don't stay in your house, because your house is your house. You literally leave and you go away. You buy all kinds of fabulous groceries and whatever the fuck you want to do, and you leave. And for 2 to 3 days, you are away from the world. And you fight and you rage in the woods and you fucking call each other, whatever the fuck you do, you fight, and then you duke it out, not physically obviously, but verbally. And then you cry and you realize that you really love each other and you really aren't fucking into being sexually intimate with other people. You're just fucking tired of the same old wash and repeat, wash and repeat. Cheating is very... Sometimes cheating comes into your life because the person doesn't have the balls to say this marriage was never the right thing, or this relationship was never, it's time for us to leave each other. And instead of doing that, they cheat. And sometimes I feel that cheating is just boredom, or cheating is just, I just need to feel alive, man, because this is really, if this is all I got in life, this can't be all there is in life. But you have to remember, you both said you were committed to each other, whether it's through the marriage contract or otherwise, where you live together and maybe possibly decided to have kids or not have kids. It doesn't matter. And I think that if people took their marriage with the same SOS that they would anything else, you'd see a lot more marriages survive. And if we had an infrastructure that was kinder, where it didn't take 2 fucking people to survive. And in some marriages, as you well know, it's cheaper to keep him or her. They need each other to survive. Literally, if they break up, right, they will lose everything they've built 10, 15 years or 20 years. In other words, to make it work, they need 2 income, or else they're going to live in lower middle class, damn near poverty, barely making it. So it's better to just stick together. And that's not normal. It's not healthy. And people keep each other going. And people cheat. And people hide it. And honestly, if that's your marriage where you really have to do this, and I'm not going to put you down, no way will I. But if that's really your marriage, then have a fucking honest conversation and open your marriage up and go, look, let's have separate bedrooms. You just let me know you're safe. I'll let you know I'm safe. We're going to just be partners. We're going to be like siblings. We're going to live together, and you're going to take a lover here and there. I'll take a lover, and it's none of your business. It's none of my business. And I'll never bring them home. You'll never bring yours home. And that'll be that. At least that's honest. And at least now you have another type of partnership that could actually be successful, akin to, say, a lavender marriage, where you could actually now be best friends and you could actually have fun and go to the ballet or the opera or the play or museum openings and book signings or whatever. And you could be actually literally now, become celibates to each other, but go out there and have fun and be honest about that new relationship that you've established. But the problem with cheating is that instead of building something that's honest, when the person finds out, and I don't have to tell you, they will spend years trying to figure out why. Now, Esther Perel, I love her for saying that. She said, if you have cheated and your spouse has caught you, what does she say? Tell them everything. Don't you dare Get angry at them for asking, well, aren't you over this? It's been 2 years. No, you should have told your spouse everything. What did the person look like? How did they fuck? Why did it start? How long? Did you tell her you loved her or him? What happened? Tell me everything. And it's better to do it on the spot and tell them everything within a month or two of the savage excavation than to let it go on and on for years. And I think that's good advice. Because she says you owe it to your spouse to tell them everything, and not like nothing should be hanging. No questions that is taboo. I think that was brilliant and wise. Because the reason why that person's still hanging on to shit is you never told your spouse, were they muscular? Did he have a bigger penis than me? Did she have a better body than me? Did she have green eyes? I thought, was it the redheaded I saw you walking with? Whatever, at the gym. Was it at the gym? I mean, that's why it's lasting 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Because details weren't shared. And though they are painful, death by 1,000 cuts, at the end of this brutal excavation, you either are going to build a brand new marriage or the marriage is now over. But now it's done. And karmically, there's no entanglement. Karmically, you cleared it. That spouse who you've exposed yourself to is now cleared. There's no questions. There's no pain left. Because if you leave a spouse with any doubt, any question, any pain, you are still entangled. Whether you know it or not, when you leave your spouse with unsaid, unanswered questions, the entanglement is created until the next incarnation. So you tell them everything. You don't leave anything out, and you do not treat them stupid. This is the time to be honest. And it could be that, yeah, it is done. You're done. Maybe now your spouse will come back to you after 120 days, 6 months, a year, and go, I don't think I can do this with you. I actually hate your guts. I actually don't trust you. Whatever the hell comes out of their mouth. Or I still love you, but I don't love you like a lover anymore. I love you like a brother, and I can't live with you anymore. I want to go out in the world and figure myself out and see if I can find real love. Because clearly, for me, this was not real. And it could hurt you. But see, this is why people cheat. They want a piece of freedom and life and excitement without jeopardizing their marriage. But the funny thing about cheating is that, especially with women, they know. They feel it. They feel a third party in their bed every time. And the more a man denies it, the more a man gets angry and starts to fight, to say you're crazy, the more vibrational change she feels and the more she knows. And all she's looking for is the truth, even if it means the end of her relationship with you, but she needs the truth. And the more you deny her the truth, this is particularly a problem with men, but trust me, I know that women do the same. They pull the same shit with, cheating on their husbands or, boyfriends. If you're willing to cheat, have the courage to fucking make it right, even if it ends the marriage. Have the courage and the integrity. You can have integrity and cheat. Trust me. I know it sounds completely insane, but if you're just going to cheat and cheat and cheat, because I've seen relationships where some women are put in a situation where they cannot leave. They are beholding to the husband who puts them through that. I can't tell you how many clients I've had that I've talked to throughout the years where the woman was a stay-at-home mom. And she had to put up with it and put up with it and forgive and forgive and forgive. That, I've seen women destroyed by that. Destroyed. That means, what it means is they have to rebuild a new self. And that's going to take years. So cheating ultimately, and I'm glad to see the new young bloods, young men out there that are Gen Xers and millennials are coming out saying, I won't do business with a man that cheats. I won't do business with any human being that cheats, because if they cheat on the most important person in their life, they're definitely going to fuck me over in a deal, and I don't want that. I can't trust them. So the old template of men congratulating each other for cheating, of course, women were always, the rules did not apply to women who were cheating, but definitely men would congratulate each other, whereas women had a hard time with that. If they were found to be cheaters, they would be humiliated. Scarlet Letter is a great book. It talks about, and it's not even cheating, it's just outside wedlock. I mean, excuse me. Yeah, it's taking a lover. It's been a long time since I've read it, so I don't remember the whole story, but if I remember correctly, it doesn't end well. I think we as a generation who are helping architect a new template of love, a new template for society and culture, and the diversity of our cultures, one of the things we need to kind of agree on is how we are not going to be a culture that promotes cheating, accepts cheating, and really goes into a culture that is honest about what we're going through. Like I remember one of my clients, she was a twin flame. I've mentioned her once before, and she was absolutely into monogamy. That's just how she's wired. And her boyfriend was absolutely into polyamory. And I asked her, will he ever change? Nope. Will you ever change? Nope. I go, well, I guess that's it in this incarnation, unless something drastic happens where you change or he change. Somebody's going to have to transform, or else you can't be in union. But what I will say about guys who are, he's going to have to transform, or else you can't be in union. But what I will say about guys who are you need, and what you need is me and only me, and I can't be that man, or I can't be that woman. And I think that's important, you know. Let me see here. Mommy Yeti, I'm trying to open your, damn it, why is it, I don't know why they keep filtering comments. Okay, but then there's shame for wanting more out of life. What, this isn't good enough, how selfish. Well, I mean, if you want more out of life, then you can't be in that relationship. Does that make sense? Let me see. Ghost is Esther Perel. She's so popular, it's more like 2K to talk to her. Oh, fuck, really? Let me read your comments. Fuck, I was looking up. You know how I always look up. Let me see here. Let me go here. Let me start here. Rachel, or the men who watch the entire pregnancy, still cheating fellas, still wrong, still bad energy. Yeah. Or the man who watched oh, you said that. Okay. Sexuality has been deeply harmed in Western society. I agree. Even women demonize it themselves. Women are not yeah. Let me see what else. A whole egregore has been created around the moon bleed is. Yes. It's actually an incredible, spiritually powerful and profound time. Many indigenous cultures knew it, of course. Wholeheartedly agree. I have a friend getting ready to start an app. Oh, that's cool. Let us know. She's so popular. It's more like 2K to talk to her. Yeah. Esther Perel is quite something. Then there's shame for wanting more out of life. What this isn't good enough. How selfish. And also we turn into super investigators and have the answers to the question we ask already. Yeah, what men don't understand about women, and there's no shame here, okay? I have seen the most gentle women turn into the most feral, unhinged FBI, CIA, KGB. They will fucking track. If you're fucking on her, she will find it. Last thing you want to do is cheat, especially in this age of information. She will find her. She will call her. Sometimes they will call the woman. They will call. They'll exchange notes. Why do you think men don't get away with having 3 different wives in 3 different states with 3 different set of kids? Because women now can track you, and they'll call each other and go, wait, hang on, he's your husband, he's my husband, I married him, and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, it's a whole different game now. Like, you can't even do it anymore, okay? But what I would say to people who want to cheat is, what is it that you need that you can't get? What excitement you need? And this is what's interesting about the movie Revolutionary Road, aka it's the book also. It's she wants to go to Paris. Do you remember? Spoiler alert, I'm about to tell you the movie because I don't know if you're going to watch it, but I'm going to tell you. She wants to go to Paris, get a job as a secretary, and she said, write your novel. Do you guys remember that? If you've seen it? And he's saying, yeah, let's do, yeah. And she gets pregnant, okay? And then they meet this mathematician that's been going through shock treatment, this and that and the other. It's a really rich story of people who are so disappointed with where their lives have been taken by society's rule of what is acceptable. 3D rules, right? You're going to have to do it this way, and it's not possible, and it's not logical. But anyway, in her mind, and she's right, by the way, he could have been the great American author because he's working for what? He's working for a marketing PR firm, right? Advertising firm. So he's a writer, okay? And she says, let's go to Paris. Let's live our life. I'll get a job as a secretary. I'll teach English, whatever the hell. I forgot exactly the details. But she's all gun-ho. And he has an affair. And he gets a promotion. And she's like finally getting to, I'm not going to tell you the end because the end is worth watching the movie. I'm not going to tell you the end. But the end is absolutely shocking and heartbreaking. She's like a she-wolf who has just had her paw caught in a bear trap. And she'd rather chew off her paw than live another week in this farce of a life while he's cheating. By the way, she has a moment where she cheats too, because at that point it's I don't give a fuck moment. And it's funny too, because I've had some pretty brutally honest male friends who were players. And they would say that sometimes they would have, they go to a bar, blah, 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 the nightclub, whatever, right? And they'd say, yeah, and so the woman would come up to me or we'd start talking and she'd say, I just want to get back on my husband or my boyfriend. He cheated on me. I just want to get back at him. I just want to. So of course, what would happen is that the player would have sex with the revengeful wife, girlfriend. And while he was having sex with her, she'd start crying because she felt guilty because the revenge was bitter in her mouth. Yeah, women, don't do that to yourselves. Don't do that. And men, don't do it either. Don't go out and just fuck someone because you want to feel like you deserve it and to tilt the balance of the unfairness back to benefit you. It doesn't work that way. It actually doesn't. It's going to make you sick. You're probably going to puke. Some of us aren't wired to just fuck. And this is something you have to realize, that there are people out there, trust me, when they say they love you, when they say let's get married, all of it, they really mean it at the moment. Everything is at that moment. But cheaters have something, I think, that stems from, and you're not going to like me for saying that, childhood trauma. They don't feel like they're enough. They need to feel like they're in charge, in power. Also, having a chick on the side gives them a sense, or a guy on the side, gives them a sense that they gotcha. Especially if they resent you in the marriage or relationship. And you don't know that they were there. There's a movie, who was it with? I'm trying to remember the actor who was in it. I might look it up if I can, but it's about cheating as well. And he finds out his wife has cheated on him after she died. And I think it's with, Antonio Banderas, I think, if I'm correct. And he finds her password on her iCloud, sees all the pictures of her. She had a fucking different life. She was a buyer for a store, like Neiman Marcus, that kind of thing. And she'd go to Italy and this and that to buy for the stores, right? And in those trips, she would visit her lover. And he had no fucking idea. And this affair went on for years. Same guy. And I think it was Italy. And so she dies in a car accident or a plane crash, or I forgot exactly the detail because it was years. And he finds out and he starts looking to find out what the fuck. I thought we had a good marriage. We made love before she left on the trip. I thought the sex was great. And she dies in the plane crash. And he's like, what the fuck? These movies are really interesting because they really show you the sex was great. And she dies in the plane crash. And he's like, what the fuck? These movies are really interesting because they really show you. They do show the pain. That's why I'm shocked when people still cheat, because like it's not like you don't know what you're going to be. If your spouse finds out, you know exactly what's going to happen to them. And so the question I have for cheaters is, do you get some kind of hit, some kind of sadistic joy that maybe they'll find out? And at that point, you should be honest enough, because karma's a bitch. I'm not joking. On a spiritual level, don't do it. Because what happens is if you really have a sadistic pleasure of, they don't know that I'm cheating, they don't know that I just sucked, blah, 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 and now I'm going to have dinner with the family, like, but you know, but no one else in that situation knows in the family, and you get a high out of it, you should ask yourself some questions. Is why? What is it in your childhood that made you so empty inside that you have to fuck people over, one, and two, that it gives you a sense of power? I think the psychology of cheating is kind of fascinating, because when you give a second chance, like when what's her name, when Hillary Clinton found out that Clinton, President Clinton had cheated with Monica Lewinsky. Monica Lewinsky apparently, again, I'm not sure, okay, I'm just allegedly, was having an affair with him and her professor, both married men. And the question is, with a young woman, 21 or whatever, what is it about her sense of self-worth? And she talks about she had no sense of self-worth. And so she got that from these older men. And so, but where did it happen? Like, at what point do you remember where you were not good enough and that you had daddy issues? I mean, clearly, right? That you needed to take someone else's spouse to feel powerful. Because it wasn't just about the attention and getting daddy attention, but it was also about, I got him and I was able to get him to cheat with me, and I know it's your husband. It's a power trip. And I've had too many clients, they didn't stay clients for very long, who just wanted the notch on the belt. So it goes both ways. I'm not going to put men on the fucking defensive. That's on my job. I really don't want to do that to you guys who are listening to this. But I do want to say that we have to be very careful. And I mean that. I'm not trying to put the fear of God in your hearts, but to say, like, really ask yourself, why am I wanting to do this? What is it about me that is so lacking? And is it a sign that my committed relationship to this person who I claim to love from day one, and now, because I hate the word, I've fallen out of love. No, you haven't. You've fallen out of lust. Unless your partner is abusive, unless your partner belittles you, yeah, then you're falling out of love as well as out of lust. But typically, it isn't falling out of love. It's falling out of lust, desire. There's no desire left. Now, if it's falling out of lust and friendship and respect and fun, and because some actual relationship, the person doesn't want to have sex. Their libido's shit, okay, compared to the other partner. And so they cheat because the person maybe is okay with having sex once a month. And some people, they are wired that way. That I don't know if it's a lack of vitamins. I'm not being funny either, okay? I'm being quite serious. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Some people are, I think, frigid. I remember reading my Cosmopolitan articles when I was like 14, 15, and some women had never had an O. Your generation doesn't have that problem. But there were women that had normalized not having an O until Cosmopolitan was saying 6 different ways to get a big O. And that was a big thing in the 70s. Trust me, it was articles. If you find old Cosmo articles, you'll Cosmo magazines from the 70s, you'll see those what you call headlines on the cover, for real. It would sell magazines. So some women apparently are frigid for whatever reason. It could be religious, it could be trauma, childhood trauma, blacking out, not remembering even. But anyway, regardless, and the partner cheats, And, that's going on. But I remember reading an article of a woman who was on Ashley Madison. I don't know if you guys remember that site. And it was really promoting cheating. But anyway, she was married to her husband, who was a paraplegic. Something had happened to him where he was a paraplegic and he couldn't satisfy her at all. And he understood that she needed to have sex. She was like 29 or 20, whatever. And so she was having sex. And one day, one of her lovers with a big Wall Street money mogul and said, look, I want to marry you. And she immediately blocked him and cut him off. And her explanation was, I love my husband. I love him. But I just need sex. I can't. And he knows about it. He supports me. We do a lot of things together. I don't want to be with anyone else, but I need to have sex. I need a lover. And that was probably the only time I read an article where it was agreed upon. There was a reasoning behind it, and it was an acceptable arrangement for both parties, though I'm sure the husband would have preferred that wasn't the situation, but somehow had come to peace with it, I guess. But that was the only time I ever read something like that. So anyway, let me look at your questions, and maybe we'll do some tarot. Let me see here. Any other questions? I think it's I think it's an interesting subject because it has harmed so many people. So, cheating, especially if a man, I'm just going to say, if a man is cheating with a woman that's like 20, 30 years younger, and your woman is in her 50s, you're in your 50s, you're about the same age, and you do that, it's a massive fucking betrayal. It's a psychological mind fuck. I'm not going to fucking, try to explain it diplomatically. There's no way to diplomatically say you've just fucked a woman's head for years. Absolutely for years. Because she will always, she's already going through menopause. She's already, feeling in herself, well, I can't compete with this. You can't. None of us can. You know what I mean? We can't compete with women half our age. And we're not supposed to. This is the old harem template that we're getting away from. Harem templates where, just look up harem. And if you study harems, you'll see what I mean. And so that women had to be the main wife or lose her power. It could put her children in jeopardy. Women have always had to fight to be number one in a situation, to the point where women who were divorced in the 1950s and 60s, who could not open their own account in America, they were fucked. There was a bust, I'll never forget this, and I was a kid, I was like 14 years old, in the 70s it happened, where women in high suburban, like Pacific Palisades, California, where these women were actually call girls, swear to God. They were homemakers, and they were call girls, and they would get these Johns to come to their house to do whatever they needed to do, and they were making money, and they were saving the money. Now, knowing women as I do, the psychology of doing that, I can tell you that they were trying to probably save a shitload of money, what I would call mad money, to get the fuck out of probably some abusive marriages. I don't believe the average woman would do it for anything else but to have enough money to leave and to just leave the marriage. So, but it was a ring that was busted. There was all these women, like PTA meetings, I guess. It was interesting. So, women now have, thank God, the freedom in some countries to keep their money, to buy their own house, things of that nature, which are relatively new. And that's why I tell people to watch the movie Orlando, based on Virginia Woolf's book, because that movie really shows you, it starts out 400 or 500 years, into the Elizabethan era, where Orlando's a boy, a young man who is loved by Queen Elizabeth. She's old, she's very old, and I don't want to say anything about but 200 years later, something happens. She's still alive, he's still alive. And then you see the difference between being a male and a female. I'll say that. But if you can find the movie, watch it, because again, it will show you as a man what women had to face. I mean, if you read any Jane Austen book, if you read Sense and Sensibility, I mean, I think every man should watch the movie, because at that point you sit there going, fuck, Their whole life is beholding to a masculine, a brother, an uncle, a father, whatever, a husband. So, a brother, an uncle, a father, whatever, a husband. So, there's some memory of what our great grandmothers had to do to survive. You know, OnlyFans in those days in the 1870s was the concubines of that era who became millionaires. Okay, so this OnlyFans thing isn't new, really. The difference is that these men actually got to touch, feel, play with the product they were buying, the female, the concubine, the demi-mondaine, and we give them homes, horses, clothes, jewelry, and cash and gold. So many of them that were smart businesswomen, because they were, became quite wealthy in their own right and became quite independent and retired quite comfortably. Many of them, not all of them, but many of them. So when you understand that, you know, and you understand that world of having the mistress, and I can tell you, and I'm not going to throw names but there's certain people that you would be shocked who would show up with their mistresses at dinner parties and this, that, and the other. We need to stop normalizing that because it's actually hurting everyone. It's hurting the males. It's hurting the females. It's hurting the children. It's not good. It's not good. And children, and this is true, children who are sensitives, you know, starseed sensitives, they'll know something's wrong with the relationship of their parents. And they'll know, and when they get old enough, like I'd say 9, 10, 11, they'll know that daddy's cheating or mommy's cheating. They'll know. And I don't know how they know, but they know. They'll look at, say, daddy's best friend who's really friendly with mommy, and they'll just have a download. Oh, mommy's being intimate with this man, Uncle Bobby, or whatever the hell, you know. They know. So it's a loss for everyone involved. And what it does for children who grew up watching their parents cheat is it actually creates their own trauma. They're afraid of love. They're afraid of being vulnerable. They're afraid of trusting. They're afraid of loving with their whole hearts. This is why you're having runners and chasers. I mean, there's multiple reasons why. But when you grow up in a family when people are cheating, your two parents are cheating, or one of them cheating and the other one's like looking away, don't ask, don't tell type of shit. As a kid, eventually you're gonna know, and that's going to carry onto your own. You're actually gonna relive your life. Now, in the case of my husband, at the time, he grew up going completely against whatever his father had done. Right. So that's why good men exist, and they can raise themselves to become good men. It's a choice. And yet there are men who will look at daddy cheating and decide, well, that's how men are, and I'm going to cheat too. Or mommy cheated, so I'm going to cheat too. The sprinkle lady, I forgot her name. Her mother taught her how to live like that. Her mother taught her how to live like that. Not to fall in love, not to marry for love. Can you imagine having children with someone you actually don't love? She said publicly, if he goes out, I don't care. Well, no, okay, she doesn't love him. It's actually an arranged marriage. It's a contract. I'm pretty and younger. I'll give you kids. You provide me everything. We're good to go. You want to cheat? Cheat. I don't give a shit. Can you imagine? And those kids, her kids, will perpetuate that template, that cycle, until one of them stops, hopefully. I had the narcissistic parents growing up. That is extremely hard. Just wondering how we can get this root to really heal our hearts. I see more men not asking their women what she wants and resistance when a woman states it. Well, I'm going to give you an example of what I think is so pedestrian, okay, to me. I had a girlfriend from her dad and my dad. I'm going to tell you how weird life is. It's just 6 degrees of separation. Her dad was a screenwriter. He was a famous screenwriter in Hollywood. My dad lived in Rome. We all lived in Rome. I don't even think she was born, or I think she was like a kid, like she was 2 or 3. Anyway, we lived in Rome on Via Olivia. And it turned out that her dad knew my dad. And 30 years later, we meet, I swear to God, in South Pasadena, California. And somehow we get into the conversation. And my dad used to do this. And she went, oh my God, my father knew your dad. Anyway, let me tell you the story, because it was about her boyfriend. And her boyfriend and her were having problems, here and there, basic problems. She was an intellectual, very, very, very bright, knew 3 languages, the whole bit. And he was your basic dude. Like sports, baseball caps turned over, the whole bit. And I remember saying to her, well, she said, I don't know what to do. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I don't think I can do this much longer. I go, well, let me ask you a question. Do you like his smell? She went, what? I said, no, seriously, answer the question. Do you like the way he smells? She went, no. And I said, well, when you go down on him, do you like the way he feels, tastes, this? She went, oh, hell no. I go, well, he should put cologne and at least feel. She go, oh, no, he won't do that for me. He refuses to put cologne. He refuses to do this. He refuses to do that. And I go, your relationship's done. Because we're primal. And one of the codes of soul connections that all of us agree on, twin flame soul connections, we love their smell. They love our smell. We love their smell. It's a primal yes. It's a hell yes. And a man that really cares about you and a woman that really cares about you will make sure they're clean. They smell good. They want to smell delicious for you. I mean, I'm sorry. This is just basic fucking just politeness and honoring your beloved to be clean, to smell good, to be clean shaven in the right parts. You're presenting your root chakra to your lover, right? Should be beautiful, should be presented well, smelling good, all of that shit. I know that sounds maybe foreign to you, but to me, that's just common sense. But he wouldn't even do that. So what I've noticed with men, when they're really going through massive depression, they're so self-destructive that they'll go through a phase where whatever you ask them, do you want me to shave your face, baby? Because it doesn't look good. It looks grisly, it looks messy, or whatever. Or they won't wash for 3 or 4 days. They won't care. They don't want you to want them. And then they're surprised when women leave them. And the thing about the masculine depression and the feminine depression, but is that we'll sabotage, we'll want the relationship to go forward, and yet we'll do everything to sabotage it so you can leave us, because in a way we're saying, I'm not good enough, or I give up, or you're going to hurt me again, or whatever it is. And the question I have for somebody going through that is, do you want to win, yes or no? And when I ask that question, when they hesitate, because it should be a hell yes, of course I want to win. When they hesitate, then they need to go into massive therapy. They need to go into hypnotherapy, talk therapy. I'm a big, to me, talk therapy is important. There's a point where, eventually you got to fucking go on your own. But talk therapy is important because you get to hear yourself talk. And if you have a really good therapist, it's not one-sided. They're actually talking to you, telling you, here's an article you should read. Let's talk about that article when we next meet next week, whatever. In other words, you're actively going to heal your sabotaging desire, right? You, in a way you want, but you don't want. You don't want to win. And that is a massive example of depression that hasn't been accepted in oneself. Like it's almost like especially the masculine, and this is where we do diverge as women and men, is that men will go through depression. It's almost like a functioning alcoholic, but it's a functioning depressed person. And masculines will be shocked when they finally face the fact, oh my God, I'm fucking depressed. I mean, like, I'm clinically depressed. And I thought this numbness was normal. Because everything they need to do, taking out the trash, doing this and that, like handling the business of bills and all, they're doing everything, but they're like functioning alcoholics. You'll never know. You can't smell it on their breath. You can't, in this case, you can't see it in their eyes. You can't see it in their body. They might even still be working out, but they're functionally depressed. And when a man, especially a man, is functionally depressed, he may actually want to cheat to feel like he doesn't know what this fog is. What is this? And he'll just say, maybe if I fuck this chick, it'll come out of me. And it doesn't. It's just a distraction from the depression. So when men don't want to fix the marriage, right? Like they won't make any effort. Like they won't go into marriage therapy with you. They won't go into hypnotherapy for themselves. They won't fuck. It's like, fuck, go see a shaman, take some psilocybin, do something, my friend. Do anything to knock this shit out of you so that you can grab your wife or girlfriend and fuck her like she needs to be well fucked. But they don't. They hesitate. Or they refuse. They dig their heels. No, I don't want to heal. I don't want to heal this marriage or this relationship. I don't want to heal me. I don't want to get involved in healing you. I don't want any of it. I just want to sit in my corner, leave me the fuck alone, and I want to just melt away. And that is quite, it's quite dangerous. And it will, and if you are waiting for them to heal after you insist, the problem is, and this will break your heart for many of you, you'll pack your shit and leave, and then they'll realize what they did. Because we're not replaceable. These soul connected love affairs, they're not replaceable. You're not going to find other people. Though you'll find better looking people, don't get me wrong, much better looking here and there. But no connection whatsoever. And not to mention, they might not even want you. They might not even connect to you. And so at that point, you realize, these men will realize it, and some of these women, oh shit, I fucked up. But now it's too late. Because now the person that's left is going to ask you to do a massive 180 for them to even trust you ever again with their hearts. And can you blame them? That's what's happening. In terms of having two narcissistic parents, that's extremely difficult. I had a narcissistic father who had, believe it or not, on some levels, a heart. I mean, he's very, very, very generous. So I have to give him that. And I did see what it did to my mother. I did see that. I saw that when I was 8 years old, what was happening. You didn't have to be a psychic to see this shit go down. And to be fair, I mean, he came from a lot of trauma, and to be fair, so did she. So it was a codependent connection. It was a soul connection, there's no doubt. But, what happens in narcissistic families, especially two-parent narcissistic families, one kid will come out empathic and the other kid will come out narcissistic. That's exactly, sadly, what happened in my family. My brother ended up being massively narcissistic. God bless him. I still love him. Don't get me wrong. And I came out empathic, psychic. And they talk about that. And that's why I did a lot of deep diving with my own studies on narcissism, studying from Dr. Sam Vakin, Richard Grannon. Who else did I study from? I know I was listening a little bit to Anushka. She did an interview with me on last year on twin flames, and that it was not psychosis. It was not psychosis. It was not obsession. It's the real thing. She has a twin, and so I studied through. There was another one. What was her Narcon. She's Irish. Narcon. So there was a lot of these things that, because I needed to understand. So if you haven't done this kind of work, Bud, I would say study these people because they're amazing. I really liked. I mean, I have to say, Sam Vakin he's a self-confessed malignant narcissist, and he's really a trip. But he goes down in the weeds. You have to look at his videos from 2017, 2016. That's when they're really juicy, and he's really going deep into some really, including sexuality, including what happens to people's sexual desires and proclivities. He goes in depth, which I think is very important, because then if you know, let me put it this way, a lot of narcissists, I can't really speak to a lot of women, because I'm not saying we don't have female narcissists. We definitely do. A lot of mothers are out there have really fucked up a lot of their kids. But with the masculine, what's interesting is they have these strange desires sexually. And when you combine that with an overgiver, right, what happens is the person's integrity and sexual sovereignty starts being corrupted. And what happens when the relationship ends, because of course the narcissist is always going to cheat. He's either going to be a cerebral or somatic narcissist. You know what I'm saying? But if he's somatic, eventually it's going to end. Then the person has to rebuild themselves from their sexual health, reconnect with their true sexual desires, and things of that nature. It's bizarre. It's really bizarre what happens. So, I mean, if you think you're in a malignant situation with a malignant narcissist, then I would say fucking run. Especially a covert narc. From what I've heard, they're the worst. The covert narcs are actually more dangerous than the overt narcs. So, you definitely want to fucking run. Okay? Because you're not going to win that. That's a battle you cannot win if they're fully malignant. To get back at each other. Let me see here. What did you say? I have two. Okay. Tell me more what you mean by to get back at each other. What did you mean by that, Buds? Because I'm curious. What do you mean by that? How did you get back at each other? Or how did they get back at each other? That must, I mean, when did you realize that they were narcissistic? It's interesting. When did you know? Anyway, so if you want to answer, great. If not, I understand. But ultimately, what you want to realize, okay, is that the cheating that we have normalized is something that are in our books, in our storytelling, in our family lineages. I think every blue moon you'll meet someone who will be in a situation where they've never cheated. There was no cheating at all. And it's rare as fuck. I trust me, my marriage, that was rare. Were there distractions? Were they, what I mean by, I'm talking about physical cheating. I'm not talking about emotional, actually. I think my husband had some emotional flirtations. I absolutely. And so did I, to be honest. And, but it was usually, when I look back on it with sober eyes, when I look back on it when we were in our 20s, because we were together for like 27 years, married, together physically. And what I look back is we were not communicating. We were stressed. We were dealing with money issues. And we felt trapped. And we felt honestly trapped, because money gives you choices. I don't care what people find. Oh, money doesn't buy happiness. Well, I'd rather be depressed in the Bahamas on a yacht, thank you. Or in an island to myself. Or up in the cabin and writing a book and crying while I write. I don't have to go to work and listen to a bullshit meeting. So money does give you some sense of freedom and choices. And as I've said before, money can... money doesn't bring happiness, because you could have a kid with leukemia, right? And you could be $100 million or a billionaire and you can't save your kid. But also, similarly, you can be a mother with 3 kids that you can't feed and there's no fucking food. Money could help with that, obviously. So money's a very funny little thing that we still haven't made collectively peace with, because of the imbalance of, again, here we go, with the infrastructure that creates all the stress, that creates people who cheat. And the infrastructure has created many templates to congratulate cheaters, in particular in the masculine consciousness of the collective. That's obvious. That's completely obvious. And when you think about the Playboy Mansion and the parties in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, up until COVID, really, people were married. These sports figures, these actors were married going to the Playboy Mansion. Hello, what do you think was going on? at the Playboy Mansion Club. You think they were all going to be monogamous? So you see our culture, the Playboy clubs that we had all across this country. We had one in New York, one in LA, I don't know where else, but anyway. And I mean, what are married men going into a strip joint, for example? So we have been promoting in our cultures. By the way, I think it's fair to say all cultures, damn near all around the world, to cheat on a woman. That is a template. And I think that more and more men are coming through self-aware, building their own template for the kind of masculine they want to present to themselves and to whoever becomes their partner, right? And so that we're seeing the change, and it's fantastic to see, because I talked about, if you look at my past lives on Aubrey Marcus and the bullshit, but polyamory, haha, we're so fucking advanced and you're not, and you're a peon and we are just so above you, and I'm gonna have 2 bitches and get them pregnant. Like, it's like, you mean you've learned how to package it, unlike Andrew Tate. You know how to package it so it looks cleaner than Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate's just a pig about it. He's not even fucking trying to package it. But you will. You know what I mean? I think it's funny, in my opinion. Oh, me neither. Me neither. I've never understood the... have a good afternoon. I've never had a... I've never understood strip clubs. I never have. But I do understand the money for the girls. I do understand that the money is insane. And so I understood why women did it. I never understood why men would do it. That's... never, okay? I think, again, men, like I said, the templates are changing. So men are growing up, men are healing, and these young men are coming in with new roles of engagement. And not, again, like I said, not all men, this idea, this female rage. I did a live on female rage, and I was actually channeling female rage. And I understand female rage. Trust me, I'm not going to belittle where it comes from. However, it isn't all men. And this is why the kind of toxic female rage that just wants to keep raging and raging, I am not going to be a part of that. And I don't want to promote that on my channel, because I know, and I've met some wonderful, incredible, loving, loyal, honorable men, And I've met some wonderful, honorable women that are just extraordinary women, loyal as hell. So, ultimately, this is when, as I grew up as a human being on this planet, I realized that it wasn't men, it wasn't women, it wasn't black, it wasn't white, it wasn't this, it was just people. There are certain people that are fundamentally good, regardless of their gender. They're just fundamentally good people. And then the rest are banging against the walls and doing whatever they fucking think is right for them. They're greedy, they're selfish, they're lustful, they're full of shit, and they're toxic to themselves and anyone they meet. And again, there's no real gender to that, but I do think there are some templates that we do need to fucking destroy. That's for sure. Anyway, I'm going to do a card. I want to do that before we close, because I do have to get my head together. I'm going to do an Akashic reading today for someone. So let's ask what you guys need to hear. The Oracle deck is, again, Earth Warriors. I think it's so appropriate for what we're going through as a planet. And I want you to pick top, bottom, or middle. Top, bottom, or middle. Okay, and follow me on YouTube, this live. If you missed any of it on cheating, please follow me on YouTube at Sacred Intimacy Tarot. Top. Okay, any choices? Middle. Okay, majority wins. Top. Okay, I'm doing top. 21, Dadiri, hearing truth. 21 is the what is it? I think it's Star of the Magi. It's a beautiful number. It has a lot of connection to new beginnings. In Tarot, 21 is the world, a new cycle. It's 3. The number 3 is connected to the balance between the mind, body, and spirit. And what a great number. I'm glad we got that. Let's see what 21 is. I've never actually read this particular card before, so I'm as curious as you are. Let's see what's happening. Where is 21? Bloody hell. Hang on. Okay, 14. 28. I'm like trying to... All right, here. We're almost there. All right, let's go. All right, let's do it. Thank you. All right, 21. Page 113, which is 5, Mercury. Magnetic communication with the public. It's a great number as well. Okay, let's begin. Hearing the truth. There's a deeper truth that shall bring peace to your heart, offering your guidance, comfort, and renewal. You are guided to turn within for your answers. Do not allow another to interrupt, influence, or distort your personal, trusting relationship with the divine. Allow spirit to be your highest counsel always, and you shall never be led astray. You shall know the words to speak and the consciousness to hold to evoke healing and set things right. Listen for deep within. Truth is known. In a reading, focus on what you know to be true by tuning into what you feel and not focusing on appearance or the opinions of others. The voice of spirit is deep within you. Anytime you want or need guidance, you have the ability to tune into what inner voice for peace, comfort, and clarity. It takes courage to turn within rather than just put your faith in the people and things of this world. But you have enough inner strength and wisdom to do this. The truth within has been spoken. Trust that you can hear it. In the, and I can't pronounce it, in the spirit, okay, spiritual guidance. In the Nang Ki Kurun Go language of the first people of Australia, Dadiri is a spiritual practice of reflective and respectful listening. This listening goes beyond spoken words. It is perhaps the way the shamans hear with the soul. Oh, that's great. Reflective and respectful listening is a healing method in modern psychotherapy. Deep listening opens up to truth without words and their logical meaning. Do you remember when I said, you guys, to heal your relationships, you need to do eye gazing with your beloved? That if cheating comes up, you have to let your spouse who you've cheated on, they can ask whatever any question. They can ask any question. And you have to have the integrity to repair the karmic damage by answering. And then the question. And then you have to deeply listen to how they're responding. Because if you don't want any entanglement, karmic entanglement, that you will perpetuate into the next incarnation, you have to deeply listen with your body, with your ears, with your heart. Okay? This is important. It is the way the soul hears in a deeper way beyond words. The heart is capable of recognizing what is needed in realizing healing outcomes through care and presence. When you listen with your heart, you have an intuitive ability to recognize the truth of the spirit. Deep listening is a tool of the shamanic soul. It is the ability to hear not only human words, but more subtle and profound meaning, the language of animals and plants, and communication from the spiritual dimensions of stars, planets, ancestors, and spiritual guardians. The shamanic soul recognizes that the entire universe is singing a love song that can be comprehended by an awakened heart. Through the power of their inner experiences, the shaman can create spiritual wisdom for the community, bringing balance and unity between spirit and earth. As one who holds shamanic potential, part of your soul journey is to seek out deeper meaning. Never assume that the whole truth is revealed in what is said. Instead, listen carefully for the truth of what is not being said. Yes. See, and this is something I think most people have it, but in particular women, when it comes to cheating, they know. Do you understand? Lying by omission is a vibration that I think women are very good at picking up on, and I think many sensitive men. Others will naturally be drawn to you for counsel, so ensure that loving wisdom is the source through which your guidance is gleaned. The shamanic life path involves mastery over extremes. Shamanic soul may progress through energetic highs followed by crushing fatigue, feeling taxed beyond mental and physical limits, near-death experience, a symbolic death of the personality. A profound challenge of body or mind, or a period of spiritual darkness that eventually leads to a healing rebirth. Such challenges are a form of initiation that reads the soul, that teach the soul to consciously contain and challenge energy, to exercise will instead of being tossed about by the force of the world. Do you understand? We're destroying templates that have kept us from our own truth and the truth, and to walk in integrity of our light. That's what we're doing. This is why talking about things that are uncomfortable, racism, cheating, sexuality, sexual confusion, these are all important because we have been given templates that kept us away from the truth, the collective truth of healing, and our personal truth of healing. It takes time, but eventually the soul learns to live from a place of inner balance and spiritual grounding. The shaman is empowered to guide others through what they have mastered, moderating and containing what is required for healing. Thus, balance is evoked in the lives of those they touch. Shamanic soul training happens through life experiences. It may or may not involve formal instruction in a worldly sense, but in some way, you will be taught and guided by an initiated teacher. Training includes the experience of altered states of consciousness so that your soul can expand beyond the restrictions of everyday reality and feel genuinely connected and supported by a vaster spiritual reality. Altered states can include intuition, vision, hearing messages from spirit, and an ability to recognize and interpret signs of higher guidance. These experiences are preparing for managing forces that are not visible to most, yet have a palatable effect in the minds and hearts of many souls. Your altered states fulfill their intended purpose when they bring healing. When it is the right time for you, Spirit will bring you the necessary guides and teachers in the spiritual and the physical world so that you can learn how to safely enter and ground out of expanded states of awareness. This learning will increase your ability to hear and channel healing and inspired guidance. Trust that your heart will recognize your true teachers, who are not always those claiming to be your true teachers, as you fully participate in your unfolding journey with trust. Wow, what a card. That was amazing. Any questions or comments? I want to thank you again for joining me. It was fun. I hope it was fun for you. I know it was a hard question. That is true. The universe brought me to you, sister. Oh, I'm always honored when I meet new people. Thank you, Rachel. You're definitely a light, and you are definitely a power. And all of you that are here, you all have your own power to tap. By the way, on my Patreon, just because Veronica's here, I'm going to say this. We're going to start the first Sunday of September. So if you want to join my Patreon, it's only $9.99. We'll meet for an hour only, but it will be weekly for Twin Flames and Ascension coaching. And we'll meet and talk, and we'll give advice. When I say we, I mean me, really, and my guides. I don't mean we like the Queen. So it'll be where we chat, and we'll all co-create some best practices and what to expect in the Twin Flame journey based on what you probably are sharing and things of that nature. And we're going to do it for probably, I think maybe for 2 to 3 months. We'll see, right? And we'll see how it works. And if it sounds good, great. And if not, then we'll recreate something that is a better type of circle. But I think this could be good. And eventually, soon enough, I hope, I'll be able to roll out a Twin Flame class. I'm still working on another class that's been really a pain in the ass to do, and I don't know why. But my son bought me a computer, and it's pre-owned, just so you know. But it's awesome, and we're going to be able to do more work. And so he's going to be helping me get things off the ground, which I'm excited to say. Yeah, it sounds wonderful. Yay. Yeah. So the first week of, so try to, something to learn with you always. Oh, that's very cool. Thank you. That's very kind. Yeah. I mean, we always have lots of conversation. There's so much to talk about. And cheating is something that has all, for many women and for many men, is harmed them. It's sometimes you are actually cheating on the person you love, and you do love them, but you're realizing that the marriage is over, and you could be delaying something, and you don't mean to, you don't want to hurt them, but you're gonna there's no way you can't hurt them, because and there's some things that you have to do with integrity. Well, what I can't stand, I'll be very blunt, what I can't stand is there was a time in Facebook where people would find out they were divorcing by looking at the status of their spouse, and people coming on Facebook to say, wait, hang on, dude, are you fucking divorcing your wife or your husband? And they'll say, what are you talking about? Well, your wife's status, your husband's status, it says divorced. Or it's complicated. Or separated. We normalize a lot of fucked up things. You don't do that with your spouse. You keep shit under wraps. If you leave, I'm going to give you something to know. It's very important. If you leave your spouse, right, for someone else, they should never know, okay, how in other words, they should not see pictures on your Facebook of your new love. You should keep that shit under wraps until your kids are grown. I'm not joking. No one should know what your lover looks like until your kids are grown. You do not fucking spread that shit. If you're happy, good. Be happy. Take the photos. Keep it in your private file. But don't spread them on Instagram and Facebook and make your spouse suffer that you're giving the life to someone else you never gave them. Don't do that. Don't fucking do that. That's poor. It's a lack of integrity and honor. And honor your kids. Your kids come first. They don't need to know. In other words, they'll meet your boyfriend, your girlfriend. I know all that. But keep the pictures down. You want pictures of your kids up there? Frankly, I wouldn't ever put... But anyway. Keep your fucking life off the fucking internet if you've left a long-term relationship with someone who you have children with. That's my advice. That's my advice. And what I will say is when people post that many pictures of how happy they are, let me tell you something. I've been very happy with both the men I loved. And you'll rarely see pictures of both of them. All my photos are, they're either in photo albums, on my phone, or in my iCloud. They're not fucking strewn all over the internet. And why? Because I'm private. And because I would never do that to my son as he was growing up. For example, it was when I was separated from his father. He never knew what my twin looked like until the day he met him. Do you understand? That's called respect. And so it's respecting at the time, my ex-husband, respecting my son, until the day he met. And the day he met is when he knew what he looked like. That was it. And by then he was a grown young man. We got to start normalizing that. Privacy, honoring, protection of our children, and protection of the men and women we used to love. Keep your shit in your fucking private files. That's the advice I'll give you today. Okay, my loves, sending you much love, all of you. Follow me on YouTube. I think nowadays people are doing quite the opposite. Oh, I know. What a beautiful help and support you're doing. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. It means a lot to me, sister. Thank you coming from you. And thank you all for your continued support. And please follow me on YouTube. And yeah, see me there. And this whole live will be on tonight. And I'm going to... Oh, by the way, guess what? This will make you laugh. My earlier live this morning was about Sage Robbins. Did you see that, Jennifer? Sage Robbins. I was talking massive... Anyway... she blocked me on TikTok. I made the comment and she blocked me. Apparently I got under her skin for what I said, which was fair. If you want to see that live, it'll be uploaded in a few hours. It's a woman, beautiful woman who's in meditation. You'll see. And much love. I'll talk to you soon. No, I didn't. Okay, well, watch my first one. It's a short live. And then, yes, she blocked me. Sage Robbins, Tony Robbins' wife. All right. Love you.